there's yeah, when the weather is warmer. So for all those reasons and so much more, we decided and believed that it would be to the betterment of our entire community, all residents of ANC 5A, to host a summer public safety meeting. Whether we have 5 people on the line or 500 people, we as community leaders want to create a space to have a discussion around public safety and what that looks like in 2024. It's more than just crime, quote unquote. Safety is a very much a holistic approach, something that I know our council member, our mayor, and various other council members, especially at-large council members, are focused on. So we want to do that here within the ANC 5A community. So I just want to thank Commissioner Kozar for taking the lead on tonight. I thank the other commissioners, especially Commissioner Lucio, and making sure the information got disseminated properly. And hopefully we can have a good discussion tonight for the time that we have. Thank you again, Commissioner Kozar, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. I would like to recognize ANC Commissioner Lucio out of 5A03.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Singer Lucio. I'm ANC Commissioner 5A03, also first vice chair of the ANC 5A and also acting secretary. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Obviously, as we all know, crime is a huge issue in this community, and it's something we need to find new ways to address. I would like to encourage people, if they're not aware of the Sector 2 meetings that go on every month, and I think that's an important place for all of us to participate, because it gives us an opportunity to meet with the 4D commander and the team from 4D. So if you're not on the MPD 4D meeting list, please let me know. I can put my email in the chat or I can put the contact information for how to join 4D in the chat so that you're attending those Sector 2 meetings, because the Sector 2 meetings is really where most of the discussion happens around crime. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucio. With that, I'll pass it on to Commissioner Rojas out of 5A04.
Hey everyone, it's Diego Rojas here, and I'm the commissioner of ANC 5A04, and I'm also a student at Catholic University, so I'm going into my senior year there. And obviously public safety is a big issue to all Catholic University students and administration. And just actually on Tuesday afternoon, I was able to go on a public safety walk with the whole leadership team from Catholic University, some community members, some student leadership as well. And so, we talked about a lot of the stuff that the university is doing proactively to prevent crime on campus and then also in the surrounding areas as students get ready for the fall. So there's a lot of good stuff that I'm looking forward to bringing up tonight that they're doing, that they're working on, collaborating with the mayor's office, the Metropolitan Police, and the Metro Police. So it's great to be on here, and thanks Commissioner Kozar for organizing this and getting everybody together to talk about an important issue.
Of course, of course. Thank you for that, Commissioner Rojas. I'll now pass it on to Commissioner Boston.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm trying to get my video to play. But good evening. I'm Commissioner Boston, the Commissioner for Single Member District 5A05. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Commissioner Kozar, for putting this together. I represent Washington, Yu-Ying, and Archbishop Curl schools. So I'm excited to be on the call and can't wait to hear all the information.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Boston. And I see we have Commissioner Bakum out of 5A09.
Hi, everyone. Shayla Bokum. I have part of North Michigan Park and the area around Fort Totten Metro Station. So very interested in this topic, and thank you for convening this, and thank you for coming.
All righty, so thank you for commissioners. If I miss anybody, please let me know. But thank you, commissioners, for providing introduction. Just in full transparency with you guys, there may have been a mix-up with the start times. Some may have seen 6 o'clock, some may have seen 6:30, but it's okay because we adapt and we overcome our situations. With that, we do have a couple of government officials on right now, and I'd be more than happy to get the conversation started with those currently in attendance. And as additional individuals show up, we'll just continue the conversations at that time. If we do find ourselves having a lull in the conversation, then we'll go on a recess and come back at that 6:30 timeframe. But I think we'll be able to push through. With that, I do want to acknowledge any government officials that are, or government representatives that are on the line. If you could just raise your hand so that you can be identified. All right. We have Mr. Gall representing OSSI. Thank you. And I see Mr. McKnight representing, all right, Commissioner Parker's office. So quickly, Mr. Gall, if you just want to give a quick introduction and perhaps your perspective on public safety and how your agency is impacts public safety, especially within 5A, that would be helpful for those on the line. Again, this was recorded, so this will be disseminated and communicated with those who are not in attendance. So speak as if you're speaking to the community at large. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Public safety is certainly a priority for the executive and including the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, where I serve as Deputy Chief of Staff. We oversee LEAs who have more direct impact or association with the community. So while OSSI does not work as closely with community members, because we primarily work with local education agencies, which are entities such as DCPS, or I heard somebody mention Yu Yang earlier would be another example. We help provide guidelines and regulations that govern schools. And so I'm happy to be here and listen and learn from the conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gall. And thank you for being first up at bat. You're good. I know that I said I wasn't picking you too much this evening. I will say that any entity that provides policy definitely influences the sphere of public safety. And it's up to us to determine what that nexus is from our various perspectives. So we appreciate OSSI being in attendance, and perhaps something fruitful will come out of tonight's conversation that you can take back to your organization and again, improve upon its impact to our community. So thank you for your attendance. Somebody just joined, stand by. Okay, with that, I am going to recognize Mr. Carlos McKnight, representing Councilmember Parker's office. Mr. McKnight, you ready?
Good evening. I am in the process of a malfunction. I just came from a doctor's appointment and then my eyeglasses appointment, and then my eyeglasses broke. So you guys are seeing me without my eyes today. But I did want to say hello. My name is Carlos McKnight. I am a constituent service coordinator for our council member for Ward 5, Zachary Parker. I'm here to just listen, but also share information about what the council member is doing on public safety. So I'll just leave it here. I think we're doing introductions right now, correct? So I won't dive too deep into it, but I'm happy to be here with you all for this meeting tonight.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
And also I wanted to also flag and share that we are also joined by the council member's chief of staff, Ms. Rachel Roberts, who is joining me tonight as well, who will be listening in with us.
Copy that. I see that. There you go. I see that Ms. Roberts has just joined via audio in an attempt to recognize her as well. Ms. Roberts, if you want to introduce yourself to those who are in attendance tonight, we appreciate that.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Rachel Roberts. I'm the Chief of Staff for Councilmember Parker. Just joining the meeting so that I can listen in. I don't know whether Carlos McKnight, the Constituent Service Coordinator, has introduced himself yet, but he's on the call as well.
Thank you for that. We just heard from so thank you for your presence as well. There were a couple individuals in the community representing organizations. Ms. Gregory, if I'm correct, you were representing Catholic University. Ms. Gregory, you still with us? No problem. I see Father Blackwell representing, you want to introduce yourself right quick? Oh, Ms. Gregory, go ahead. I can back you
Yes,
up.
I'm sorry. I had a little glitch there. My name is Kim Gregory. I'm with the Catholic University Department of Public Safety. I'm the Associate Director there. And as Diego indicated, we had a safety walk, and there are a lot of safety initiatives we plan to implement during the summer as well as the fall for our incoming students, as well as keeping the ongoing safety initiatives we have in practice now. So if you have any questions regarding safety at Catholic University, I'll be glad to address any of those issues, as well as perhaps leave my email with you if there are any existing concerns. But thank you.
So again, I appreciate your presence on tonight. I am gonna pick on you a little bit, Ms. Gregory. So when we have the panelists go through their brief presentations to discuss strategies moving forward, as well as any other hot topics that they like to discuss, I'll include you in that as well.
Okay, no problem.
Just as a heads up. And I see again, Father Blackwell. You wanna do a quick intro?
Hi, my name is Father Nicholas Blackwell. I'm a graduate student down at the Catholic University of America. I'm not representing my community, although I will report back to them. I am a new citizen here in DC, and wherever I live, I always tend to get active and try to keep informed in the local things within my government. So
Absolutely appreciate that, Father Blackwell. And again, if you do find yourself stepping into that role of representing your organization, we definitely want to get the information to you that you need. And if you have any information that you'd like to share with the commission, please do that as well. As Commissioner Fletcher mentioned, this is more or less a safe space to just focus on public safety issues. Any of the scuttlebutt that you've heard, the rumors, questions, concerns, anything, this is the time to discuss it. And we just wanted to bring some government representatives before you. Just as a reminder to everyone, this is a part one. We're not going to go too long this evening, but this is a part one. We anticipate a part two in the fall. We may have a few more individuals showing up around the 6:30 timeframe, but with that, let's move on to quick presentations by the government representatives that are present. And I'll start with Mr. McKnight, representing Councilmember Parker's office.
All right, so they would
Hey,
get
you got the glasses.
everything
All right.
situated. Yes, it's crazy how you go to the doctors, get your glasses checked, and then they break on you. So don't forget. But good evening, everyone. So
one second,
yes.
Carlos, 1 second. My apologies. I don't want to stop your momentum for staying, but before you get into it, let me just check in with the rest of my commissioners, see if there are any questions or any comments before we start getting to presentations. Anything from the commissioners? Good. All right, it's all you.
Perfect. So I'm going to be as concise as possible and also being able to respect folks' time. So again, my name is Carlos McKnight. I am a constituent service coordinator for Councilmember Zachary Parker. I work here in 5A and ANC's 5C. I just wanted to come and share with you all a couple of updates from our office and some things that the council member has been doing to ensure that public safety is prevalent in our ward for our residents. As many of you all know, the council member does host monthly public safety calls. We do have one that will be coming up this Wednesday. It is always the last Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. These are meetings that are held virtually. In these meetings, we talk about multiple issues, multiple conversations, invite multiple agencies to discuss topics around public safety. Some of the agencies and partners that we've brought on before were our 4th District Commander, Nikki Livenhouse, 5th District Commander, Sylvan Altieri, 3rd District Commander, James Bodler, and other representatives from MPD. We've had representatives from the Department of Behavioral Health, such as Director Dr. Bazaron, to talk about their coordination and how we can work with them to ensure that folks who need behavioral health assistance get that assistance, because a part of Councilmember Parker's plan around public safety is he wants to take a holistic approach in addressing many of our chronic and many of our concerns across the ward. And so a lot of these conversations include agencies that many of us may have not realized that have a role to play when it comes to public safety, but we know that it doesn't just take one, it takes us all because most people who need these services need them the most. I did want to also share for the 5A community. I know that there's been a lot of concern around lighting. I know that we were able to help address that specifically on the South Dakota Avenue corridor between Galloway and Decatur Street. That is another initiative that our office has taken specifically in the 5A community. We heard from neighbors that, you know, the lights are too dim. And some people have shared that this can be a harbor for unwanted activity in the community. And so we listened and we reached out to DDOT to share with them that information to say these are areas where neighbors wanted to see light brightness and higher visibility while walking or along the corridor. And so we were able to make that happen. But overall, our office is 100% committed to making sure that residents in Ward 5 feel and are safe. So we continuously have conversations with all three of our district commanders when it comes to issues that are happening in the community. I know that there have been some concerns and that there's been community questions about the recent tragedy that occurred last Friday. Our office has been in communication with the 4th District around that. And we've been communicating and making sure that we share with residents and community members about any updates that came from that situation. And so we're still conversing with the 4th District and also continuously sharing updates as we get them so that we're able to be transparent with neighbors and also keep them alert of what's going on in the community. So I'll stop there and I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have about public safety, and I'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner Cozart.
All right, thank you for the quick presentation. We do want to provide every representative an opportunity to provide a presentation before we dive too quickly into Q&A, because sometimes they can kind of turn the conversation on its head. So before we, get into Q&A, I just want to offer any other government representative the opportunity to present, and then we'll come back to Q&A, starting with commissioners. All righty, Mr. Gall, did you have anything that you wanted to add on behalf of OSSI, or are you good?
I was not anticipating making a
problem.
presentation, so I don't think I have additional comments.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thanks.
And so, Mr. In transparency, Mr. Gall did tell me that he'd be more on the participant listener end. So I don't want to seem like I'm putting him on the spot too much. Just provide an opportunity. And Ms. Gregory, I will pass it on to you if you had short presentation or information you'd like to share with the public.
No, I was joining this meeting as more of a participant, maybe next time around, but I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Were there any other government representatives on the Zoom right now that were in a position to offer a presentation or would like to introduce themselves before we move into Q&A? Going once. Check and check. I'm going to ask Commissioner Rojas if you could just monitor the chat for me. If you see a question come up, just let me know.
Yep, sounds good, Commissioner.
Appreciate you, sir. With that, let's just move into a quick Q&A, and I'm going to start with commissioners. Commissioners, on your end, are there any burning questions that you'd like to ask of Commissioner Parker's office, OSSI, or even Catholic University, or any questions that have floated up your way from your constituents?
I'll go ahead and start. Again, thank you, Commissioner Cozart and residents for joining. So to I believe it's the Associate Director or Deputy Director for police at security at Catholic University.
Ms. Gregory.
Ms. Gregory, how you doing again, Ms. Gregory?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, ma'am. I'm doing well. And, I got to say, we appreciate Commissioner Rojas and, his involvement and, being a student leader on campus and off campus, and just want to acknowledge that in front of your presence. But one of the things that you said that was really interesting to me, you talked about implementing some public safety strategies this summer. I would love to hear a little bit more about those public safety strategies, because maybe it could be something that we can help support, maybe something that the council member's office is already aware of or may not be aware of. Because one of my things, at least for a meeting such as this, is for us to find ways to work together more. So I was just curious, ma'am, if you could talk about some of those strategies, some of those ideas from Catholic University.
Sure, no problem. Ongoing initiatives is that we have, we keep a public safety officer on the Brooklyn Metro on John McCormick on 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Okay.
So continuously to help either our guests and our campus community safe as they escort or transport, go over to the Brooklyn Metro. We also bike patrols. We keep we monitor and patrol around the campus, especially around Harewood Road, John McCormick Drive, on the outer perimeters of the campus. Because during this time of year, we have a lot of campus or conferences guests that visit the university. And so we try to keep down the idea of auto thefts. So we do a lot of educating our conference guests who comes onto campus, comes to visit on campus during the summer. So other than increasing our foot patrol or constant foot patrol during the summer, that's what we do. A lot of our crime prevention programs that we are working on are mostly geared in the fall towards the students when we have a larger population of students on campus.
Understood. And so, follow-up question to that. That's helpful to know. I didn't know, that Catholic University has a dedicated police officer 24 hours at the Brooklyn Metro
Yes.
Station.
Yes.
So, are you working in conjunction with MPD to communicate, coordinate those efforts?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, we partner with 4D Metro and 5D on a continuous basis. As Diego mentioned, they were all part of our safety walk that we had this past Tuesday. They are constant visuals on campus. We conduct, what should I say, safety emergency exercises with the 4th and 5th district, and as well as with Metro. So we have a great working relationships with the 4th and 5th district as well as Metro.
Wonderful. Whenever you have any of those safety exercises in the future, if possible, I know I would be interested in taking part, just to learning more about what that is. I'm not sure if other commissioners would as well, but if you could just, through Diego, let us know, that way we could support and learn more.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Wonderful. Those are my questions at this time.
Chairman Fletcher, Commissioner Cozart, if I could interject here too. Mr. Gregory, I know something that you brought up as well, that was brought up a lot on Tuesday, was the increased surveillance that's been going on at the university over the past year. I mean, I saw there was a stat that there have been 700 cameras added or somewhere around there. I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that was a super helpful thing that's like prevented a lot of stuff so far just over the past year.
Yes.
Last summer's incidents.
We have really expanded our CCTVs, our camera activities on campus to include, like Diego said, we have over 700 cameras throughout the campus, as well as on the outer perimeter. So we're able to plug into what may be occurring on Michigan Avenue, Harewood Road, John McCormick, to assist with any, to assist MPD or 5D with any issues that they may have. We also, in our buildings, we also become sort of like access control, that people would need to have a card or something to gain entry into the buildings. And that's an added security measures for our staff and students on campus. There are some buildings, of course, that is unlocked during the business hours to allow the community to have access to coming into the buildings. And usually the officers are giving extra attention to those buildings that are unlocked during the business hours as well. I know I'm skying over a lot of positions. In addition, we have, and we will see in the fall, we purchased a trike to help aid to with addition to our bike patrol to help patrol the campuses better. We also have a message board that was the the department purchased to aid in getting messages out to the community. Through Diego, if there's something of interest that the commission or your neighborhood council is doing, I'm quite sure our AVP would be more than willing to put that message out to gain interest from our campus community.
Yes, Commissioner Kozar, I think that's a great, you know, for part 2.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. Were you good, Commissioner Ross? Thank you for that.
All good, great.
Thank you for that, Ms. Gregory. I had a follow-up question as well. Without giving away any trade secrets or any inside knowledge or not, what are some things that you've implemented to improve your public safety strategies that you have found success in?
The main thing is becoming more public and being out there more in the community and developing more partnerships with our surrounding community. We have more interaction between MPD, and it's more sharing of information between the police, law enforcement agencies, not only the local, but also we have FBI liaisons when certain incidents occur. We have a liaison with the FBI for the campus community. We have more coordination, and we're talking a lot with our partnering universities for any issues they may experience that to give us a head up, and so to see if we will experience those type issues. We work well with the Shrine security. A lot of people think that the Shrine is part of Catholic University is a separate entity, so we work well with them. We even developing a neighborhood safety councils for our neighboring organizations or agencies. For example, we now are starting in talks of that when something happened on campus, we can do an alert or a crime alert to people at the Shrine or JP or Theological College. So those neighbors across the streets are aware of what's occurring on campus and can take safety measures for themselves.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed, and I'm happy that those strategies are working for you. With that, and without pointing fingers or casting blame on anyone, what are some areas that you see as needing improvement that perhaps we can support you with?
Well, of course we can improve, but this is a great forum, and that I can personally say we would personally have someone from public safety as part of the forum, so we can be aware of what's going on in the community as well, so we can help address or assist issues. We are limited in our jurisdiction within the on-campus grounds.
Copy that, copy that. Well, I thank you for acknowledging that, and that's certainly an area that we can definitely support in. I think the win that's going to come out of tonight is, again, just creating that safe space, as Commissioner Fletcher mentioned, that could bring us all together. Oftentimes we have ANC meetings and we kind of are distressed or are focused on the business of that particular meeting. But this is not about any of that. This is just about public safety. So it's good that we can all come together to discuss this. So I do consider this a win. But having a little bit of foresight, I think having this meeting a little bit more frequently than once a year truly be the benefit that we get out of this. So again, expect a part 2, expect the same and or different participants, and we will continue to utilize this forum to discuss and address our public safety concerns. So thank you for that, Ms. Gregory. One more time for the commissioners, any additional questions, and I'm gonna shift it off to Mr. McKnight. All righty, Carlos, I see your hand up. Did you have a question for Ms. Gregory?
No, I wanted to add a couple of things. I realized after shuffling around, I had a couple of things that I did want to add that were involving some things going on in the community that I wanted to share. But I did want to flag for the community that as part of the conversation of public safety, one of the things that we're doing, especially with our neighborhoods, is that we want to build community. We want for neighbors to know who their neighbors are and to be able to have that comfortability in their communities. And so one of the ways that our office is giving back and also creating that space for people to create that community is through neighborhood cleanups. So I did want to share with the community that on Saturday, this Saturday, we will be having a neighborhood cleanup in Commissioner Lucio's ANC. It will be at the steps on Puerto Rico Avenue and Taylor Street where the forest patch is. This is in response mostly because of the conversations around the forest patch, but also about the collection of garbage and trash along the Puerto Rico Avenue corridor. So this is an opportunity for us to give back to the neighbors and also for neighbors to come out and join and to keep the neighborhood clean, but also to meet your neighbors and things of that nature as well. So I wanted to drop the link in the chat for that in a moment, but I also wanted to make sure I shared with folks who are in the Riggs Park portion of the community is that I know for a couple of weeks there's been a conversation around a public safety meeting that will be occurring on the 27th. This will be at the Social Justice School right on 3rd Street in that little cut up the hill before you hit the metro station. This is in conjunction with the Lamont Riggs Public Safety Group. We've been working with them to secure the date and the location, and so we will be having it at 6 p.m. and I'll share the information for that as well in the chat. And I'll send the flyer over to the commission so that you all can share that as well. But this will be a conversation for neighbors in the Riggs Park community to share their concerns around public safety. And we'll also touch base a little bit on MPD's work within Riggs Park, but also Metropolitan Transit Police's work around the Fort Totten Metro Station. And so I wanted to share those two important updates since they're also part of this conversation around public safety. And I'll again drop the information in the chat as well.
Thank you for that, Mr. McKnight. Before we do Q&A with you, were there any
Mhm.
additional questions for Ms. Gregory or Catholic University representation from anyone on the Zoom? All righty, thank you, Ms. Gregory, for sitting in a hot seat. It was definitely a pleasure to go back and forth with you. I had a couple prompt questions that I had in mind, and you answered them all, and I was able to follow with you. So thank you for that. With that, we're going to move on to Mr. McKnight and go around through the commissioners to see if there are any questions for Councilmember Parker's office.
What time was the cleanup tomorrow or Saturday, I mean?
It'll be at 12 o'clock, Saturday, June 22nd at 12 o'clock at the corner of Puerto Rico Avenue and Taylor Street at the bottom of the steps.
Thank you.
And I'll be sharing the link for folks to RSVP in just a second. And it should be there now. So if you go to ward5.us/spring cleaning, it has a list of our other 2 cleanings on there as well. So make sure if you're going to come to the Michigan Park cleaning that you hit Michigan Park for the 22nd, just so that we can be able to know how many people we're expecting. We do have materials that are being graciously donated to us through the Office of Clean Cities that they've loaned to us for the cleanup. And so we wanted to make sure that we had enough materials for everyone.
And Ms. McKnight has put that information into the chat. Were there additional questions for Councilmember Parker's office from the commission? Anyone from the community with questions for Councilmember Parker's office? Father Blackwell, I recognize you.
Thank you. You know, we get those updates from CUA about crime, and since June 12th, there's been 5 armed robberies. Usually men, the late teens, early 20s, just around CUA or right over in 5B. And I've heard a lot of language of holistic tonight, new ways of addressing community building. But there's one language I haven't heard, and that's the language of deterrence. So I was just wondering, how is crime being deterred? You know, CUA mentioned they have all these cameras. I think that might be helping. So I just wondering, is there any way that your office can put out information that may show the community that crimes are being deterred through, arrest rates, charging rates, or how your office might be responding to the work of the police, so we can better understand what's going on in terms of deterrence in relationship to crime, particularly theft and armed robbery, that seems to be rising up in this area?
Yeah, sure. And I can kind of speak on that a little bit as well. And so just to kind of give you a little overview of how our relationship with MPD and our other public safety apparatuses is that, of course, when a situation or incident arises and there's community concerns and residents bring it to our concern, our first step is to create that line of communication and transparency. We want to make sure that, residents are receiving the correct information about incidents that are occurring in the neighborhood. And so we worked with both or all three of the commanders, depending on which part of the ward it occurs in. And so from that, we always try to disseminate that information just so that neighbors are aware. In terms of deterrence, the council member public safety is a topic that is always top of mind for him. The council has held several votes when it came to public safety. I'm sure you might have heard recently the Secure DC legislation, which was a package to address some of the constant issues of crime and public safety around the city. The council member did support that bill, and he voted for it in its first vote and its second vote. If you wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about the specifics, ooh, that's a very hard word to say, I'm happy to get you in contact with our legislative team and also share with you the legislation as well. But the council member is always looking and has always been working to make sure that we hold folks accountable. One of his talking points in the conversation is that we need to make sure that, when we need to close cases and things of that nature. And so we have constant conversations with the Attorney General, and we always keep up to date with the Office of the U.S. Attorney about other cases that go to that office as well. And so the council member has always been steadfast in making sure that we can deter crime. And in many of the other cases, a lot of that deterrence is also looking at some of the underlying issues that a lot of these folks are facing. And so some of the issues that we see, especially amongst a lot of our young people who are committing these acts, is that they may not be in school. And so the council member looked at that issue and said, there's a truancy problem in the city. We need to fix it. And a part of it is how do we address to make sure that these students are getting, one, the resources they need so that they can go to school and feel safe, but also making sure that they go to school and so that they're in school and not doing something that they're not supposed to do. And so when going back to what I mean holistically, we look at it as like, what are some of the things that could help improve this and deter students? And part of it is simply like making sure that we can get them to school, making sure that they're safe going to school, making sure that for example, with the incident that occurred in Brooklyn, we want to make sure that kids can get to and from the metro safely. And so I hope that kind of answers your question, and I'm happy to chat a little bit more offline and also connect you with our team a little bit more if you wanted some more specifics about legislation and also legislation that he has supported.
Thank you for that comprehensive answer there, Mr. McKnight. Were there any additional questions for Carlos? So we often put Councilmember Parker's office on the spot to come up with solutions of our various issues, but like I put the question out to Ms. Gregory, what are some ways that we in the community can support those efforts or some of the strategies that you all are putting in place where we can be more a part of that engagement? So what can we do to support you all?
Well, I think, and I don't want to speak too much here, but I think it's a relationship with the community. What we hear from you all is how we're able to disseminate and also share and look into things. So if there's something going on, of course, we always tell people call 911. If there's an emergency, call 911. But for example, let's say if you need assistance with getting follow-up from MPD, let's say, and God forbid this happens to anyone, your vehicle is vandalized or stolen, and you're not getting the follow-up from the detective that is assigned to your case, we're happy to look into that for you. If there are areas of interest where you would like to see improvements to lighting or other areas of the aspects of public safety where we can put a mitigation to help ensure that the neighborhood feels safe, we're happy to look into it. One prime example that I could share with you all is that in the Brentwood community near Brooklyn Manor, a part of the conversation around public safety there is that people keep coming in and out of the neighborhood speeding, and incidents always happen. And neighbors were saying, we want to request a solution. And so we were able to help work with neighbors to find that solution for them, and we were able to get that done. And so creating that conversation and reaching out to our office is always helpful. And also signing up for our newsletter so that we can share with you all some of the information about programs, whether it's like the camera rebate program through the Metropolitan Police, or their Camera Connect program, or other grants, or how people can get connected to victim services if you have an issue or concern about that. We're always happy to connect you all. So I think that can hit your question there on the head.
So it sounds like the best thing we can do is continue to be engaged, remain engaged.
Yes.
And we can also be more proactive about spreading the word about the newsletter and ensuring that as many of our neighbors are signed up for that as possible, so that information is disseminated to the widest audience possible. So we'll ensure that we start doing that moving forward, or get better at doing that moving forward. With that, I wanted to recognize Commissioner Fletcher.
Thank you, Commissioner Cozart. Carlos, a couple questions for you. And again, to the community, you know, this is not, as Commissioner Cozart stated, this is an opportunity for us to dive deeper on the topic of public safety than the 10, 15, 20 minutes or so that we dedicate to it at a monthly ANC meeting. So please, you know, ask questions if you have them. Just want to encourage that again. But Carlos, two things. First, regarding the phone, is it weekly, or is it a weekly public safety phone call or monthly public safety phone call?
It's monthly, so it occurs on the last Wednesday of each month. And so this month public safety call will be on June the 26th.
Okay.
At 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. Okay, I'm going to join the one this Wednesday at 3 p.m. How have they been? You know, I mean, I know your answer, as it should be, because Councilmember Parker's office, you all are doing a great job overall, no question about it. My question is to you, how has it been? And I know the first answer, great or good, but if you could dive a little deeper into it, do you really see these public safety phone calls moving the needle on public safety efforts in Ward 5? If not, what can be done different? If so, what has made this successful thus far?
I'd like to chime in. Thank you so much.
And Chief of Staff, it's so awesome having you here as well. Thank you so much for being here. I want to just say that I forgot that you were on the call until I saw you pop up.
No worries.
Okay.
So each month our public safety call, so typically we always have MPD there, but each month we've taken different focuses based on what was actually happening in the community as it related to public safety. So the one thing that's always constant is that we have the commanders from each Ward 3, 4, and 5 there so that they can speak. They give us updates on the stats. And one of the things that we know is that we have some communities who report things more than other communities, right? And so not just calling 911, but also utilizing the app, the 50411. So like when you see something reported, because oftentimes when we ask for things or say a community wants us to dispatch something, they go to the crime card and look at the crime card. And if it's not called in, it doesn't necessarily make it to the crime card, right? Even though we know that people are seeing things and things are happening in our communities. And so we want to make sure that A, people are informed, B, that we create an environment where people can talk directly with the commander and ask questions. C, that we want to make sure that we're consistent and opening up the lines of communication between our office, between MPD, and between our constituents.
Right. No, and thank you for that answer, and that gives some more context. And I also want to just say Commissioner Lucio has been a big advocate, huge advocate of attending the council members' public safety call as well as the CAC meeting. So I want to put that on the record. Hopefully through Commissioner Lucio, you've been able to hear some of the concerns from ANC 5A. Again, just want to thank her for that. Because I just want to know, because I know it's somewhat newer, but you've been doing it for some time now. I want to be able to speak with some knowledge as we hopefully get more folks to go to these the public safety monthly phone call so we could support and all be together.
And then before she speaks, I would just add one thing. Typically, like the first public safety call we had over 100 people on it. And now we average anywhere between 40 to 60 people on a call.
Really?
So just to give you some context, a lot of people do join the call, and I know Commissioner Lucio can attest to that.
Now, okay, because I know the squeaky wheel, we know the rest most times. So based upon your knowledge, what area in Ward 5 is probably on that call the most? Could you determine? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Commissioner, answer that. Commissioner Lucio, you want to answer that?
Let's
You
pass on
can
to
guess,
Commissioner
though.
Lucio.
Okay.
Of
All
course.
right.
I would say 5B. But can I jump in? Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher, for the accolades. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I do try and jump on those calls pretty regularly, and I do encourage everyone to do the CAC meetings, the Sector 2 meetings, and these Ward 5 monthly calls. The pros and the cons of the Ward 5 monthly calls is that this ward has three different police districts, sorry, it reports to, right? So there's only in an hour call, there's going to be some on 3D, some on 4D, some on 5D. So we can't get to everything that's of concern to 5D. But what I do find helpful, and I think a lot of people have found helpful, is, for example, the CAC meetings that I have mentioned that everybody should attend. Those representatives do attend those meetings, and they do talk about the work that they're doing as a CAC. And there are a lot of people within the community who don't even know what the CAC is or what the CAC exists. And so I think for that alone, I think that's been helpful. And Rochelle mentioned the crime card, right? I think a lot of people don't know what the DC crime card is and how you can drill down and look up the statistics of what crimes and types of crimes have occurred within, as small a detail as a single member district, all the way out to the whole ward, all the way out to the whole city, right? So you can see all of that. And I think one of the nice things about these meetings is that all of the commanders that show up from their different districts share the resources, they share what they're doing for community engagement. Right after the incident at the Brookland Metro, they talked about all the measures they were taking, the steps they were going to take to address that issue, to deal with that. And so I think that it's a really good opportunity to listen and hear what's being done, because I think a lot of people tend to complain about things without actually knowing what's happening to try and address the problems in the community. So I really encourage as many people as possible to attend all three of those meetings, to not only voice your concerns about what things you feel need to be addressed, but also to listen and hear what is being done to address some of the issues that we already know about and resources that are available to try and address them. So that's all I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Lucio. So I am going to bring us home. Before we kind of adjourn, are there any additional questions for Councilmember Parker's office? ANC, Catholic University. Those are the government representatives who have identified themselves and are in attendance this evening. The floor is open for additional questions. Father Blackwell?
Truancy was an issue that was brought up just a little bit ago, and I think it's Wednesday coming up. There's like 4 pieces of legislation in a committee discussion, a public forum, that's trying to address truancy. And I know they're addressing like the issues of out of school suspension, things like that. They're quite detailed. But since we have somebody from OSSE, I hope that person's still here. Like, can he give us any insights, or have they been talking about how this might aid in the issue of youth committing crimes? Like, these are substantial sort of legislative things. I just want to get some insights, how they think these may help with crime issue and juveniles, I should say. Sorry, let me pluralize my words.
Thank you for that, Father Blackwell. We'll give Mr. Gall an opportunity to answer, followed by Commissioner Parker's office if they have anything to add. Mr. Gall.
Hi, thank you, Father Blackwell, for the question. Yes, and I was about to hop off, so glad to answer this question before I go. So there are 4 pieces of legislation, as you said, all aiming at a similar goal in terms of addressing truancy and student absenteeism. the mayor has introduced a bill called Uplift. Councilmember Parker has also introduced legislation. So the mayor's legislation would do a number of things in terms of truancy, but the big shift would be to, instead of having schools refer students to CFSA, to shift that to DHS. We've heard from community members that there is a lot of trepidation when someone gets a call or a referral to CFSA and gets a call from CFSA. They don't view that with CFSA, for in case folks don't know, is the Child and Family Services Agency, which has the authority to move students into foster care. And so families are oftentimes reluctant to sort of express the true needs that they may have in a way that we believe that DHS may be better situated to have honest conversations and connect those families to resources. And so it would be a measure of support. So if a family is in need of transportation support or some other resource that DHS would be able to put them in touch with, they could help provide those resources to the family, so to ensure that the student is making it to school. And then there are measures of accountability as well. Currently, when a student is referred to OAG, the Office of Attorney General, if they accumulate too many absences, there's not necessarily a closing the loop in terms of what OAG is doing with those referrals. And so there's a provision that says that OAG must either refer the family for a mandatory diversion program, prosecute, and they have to report that information out as well, because currently there's not a clear sense of what is happening. And we've heard from school communities that there's a frustration that they're spending time making these referrals, and then they're not hearing anything, and they're not necessarily seeing the improvements in terms of attendance from the families. So we at OSSI know that this is a huge priority, both for community members and for schools. We've talked to LEA leaders all the time, to school leaders. We know this is one of the top two priorities of schools, along with improving academic outcomes. So it's something that we're really trying to focus on, and the conversation the hearing that will be upcoming will hopefully illuminate some of those paths forward to provide the supports that students need, because we need our kids coming to school. We're spending lots of money and lots of energy, and everything we do at OSSI, as well as everything we do in schools, is predicated on providing students the supports that they need, but they won't get those if they're not in the classroom, right? If they're not attending school. And so it's definitely a critical issue, and one that we are committed to working with council and our sister agencies and our school partners to make improvements on. And we are glad to see that over the past 2 years, we are starting to see a decline from the pandemic high we saw, but we know we have further room to grow. So it's an important conversation, and one that we are looking forward to.
Very nice, Mr. Gall. Thank you for not hopping off. It was certainly good for us to hear that messaging, and it's something that we should, as a community, keep our eyes on. Again, looking at public safety from a comprehensive standpoint, truancy is something that definitely has a ripple effect that affects public safety, and ensuring that our kids are safe and educated and where they need to be is one of those measures that we can ensure happens, so that they are safe, and in turn we are safe. So what I'm going to do now is go to the commissioners, see if there are any announcements they'd like to make. Then we'll go to the community if they have any announcements. And then I have 3 announcements, and I want to get you all to the CAC meeting, as they are meeting now. It might be important to hear what they have going on for the Citizens Advisory Council, working with 4th District MPD. So with that, any messages, announcements from the commissioners?
Commissioner Cozart, I'll just remind everyone that our final ANC meeting is next week, a week from today at 6:45. It's on our website, anc5a.org. I did put a link in the chat to how to join our email list. If you're not on our ANC5A email list, please do so. And as it was already mentioned, there is a cleanup in my single member district, which I've already sent out, but I do hope to see most of you there. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any additional announcements? Go ahead, Ms. McKnight.
Yes, I did want to highlight that on the conversation of truancy, I did share the council members' recent legislation, which is the Showing Up for Students Amendment Act. And so if folks are looking, want to take a look at the council members' bill on how he wants to tackle truancy, I shared the link for that as well. And I know someone else had shared about nursing, and so he does also have another piece of legislation around public school health services, and trying to close the gap for that as well. And so I also would encourage folks who are interested in that to take a look at that. And if folks have additional questions or want to provide any feedback about these pieces of legislation or any other piece of legislation, they can email me and I can forward it to our legislative team. And if they have any questions or need to follow up, they'll reach out.
Very good. I'm not gonna say you're stealing my thunder, but we're definitely sharing it. Additional announcements. Alrighty, I'll go with my 3. As Mr. McKnight just announced, if you are interested in supporting licensed nurse practitioners, did I say it right? Is it LNP or LPN? Licensed professional nurses in the school regarding public health and safety. We have an individual in the chat by the name of Colleen Russell. She said reach out to her. Before we end this meeting, everyone should go through the chat. There are a few announcements in there, and I'd like you to see that before we close out the meeting. So go through the chat, look at the various announcements. I also wanted to mention again that, making sure there are no additional questions in here first. That again, this is the first of a couple meetings we're going to have in the next 12 months. Other government representatives such as Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office, the Office of Attorney General, MPD, Division of Youth Rehabilitation Services, and DDOT were also invited. Schedules were not permitted for some of those representatives to attend, but it doesn't mean that we won't see them sometime this year. So I'm hoping that we can get them locked in for the next Public Safety Summit. That being said, please spread the word amongst your neighbors, your families and friends to have them attend so they can get their concerns and whatnot addressed. We're hoping for even bigger and better turnout when we do this again. Again, we plan on having a different set of guests. So please stay tuned for that. That'll be in the fall. And finally, in the chat, as was mentioned earlier by Commissioner Lucio, there is a CSC meeting happening right now. If you want to have an opportunity to speak with individuals from MPD, that'd be a great time to do that. The link is in the chat, and I am going to free you all up so that you can join their meetings. If everybody's good and in a calm and peaceful place and you feel like you got value out of this meeting, I'll stop here.
Thanks so much for hosting.
All righty. I thank y'all for attending. I look forward to speaking with you again. Have a good one.
All right.
Yeah.
Good day. Thank you.
All right.